Hello family. I hope you're doing well. I really believe that you're doing well. This is our volume 2 weekly analysis. It came during midweek, so I wanted to wait for Monday's price action to print because we had no high impact news at all on Monday, and then I also waited for Tuesday because nothing much was happening. So as we look into this economic calendar here, on Tuesday, which was yesterday, because 12, it's already 12 midnight this time at this side. So on Tuesday we had card news. Only the Canadian dollar pair or the card pairs were the ones which were a little bit more volatile. But tomorrow, I mean today, because it's already today. Today we have this GBP CPI news at 9 a.m. for London, and there's USD news, FOMC news, and the federal funds rate late in the day outside of the kill zones. So we're going to have a lot of volatility today. A lot of movement in price action is going to happen. So you have to trade carefully. You have to make sure that you don't overtrade, you don't gamble. I would advise you to make sure that you find your entry before this news release or after this news hit the market. After the news has hit the market, don't try to trade during the news release because you will be utterly destroyed. I'm telling you, you'll be utterly destroyed. These news are very quick. They can move both sides very quickly. So just make sure you enter before or after the release. So we have this news that will be taking place later in the day today. That will be taking place late in the day today. And on Thursday we have CHF news in the morning at London, and then GBP news at New York, and then USD news also at New York. And then on Friday we have Euro news in the morning, London, and GBP in the morning, and then New York we have the USD news. So this week will be volatile. It will be exciting. It will be filled with a lot of movement up and down. Things are just going to happen quickly. Price is going to move aggressively up or down. So let's look into the charts and see what we can use to trade later and in the coming days. I have the dollar index here. This is the USDX, the dollar index. As explained before on our previous analysis, I talked about this buy here and price bought into that, and then we talked about this sell here which took place here into this inefficiency here, or this imbalance which is here, and I talked about how it's going to come into this level here and then eventually trade into the sell stops and then fill this here. Price is still in that process, and my bias is still bearish on the dollar. I still want to see it trade all the way into the gap which is here and take out the sell side liquidity here. But now, since price traded all the way and broke structure here, since it broke structure here, it has now created this imbalance here. We now have that sell side imbalance, buy side inefficiency, that's CB, or the fair value gap then. Price is traded nicely and it just left this imbalance here after breaking structure here. And we also have another imbalance here. We also have another imbalance here. We also have another imbalance here. So, but my eyes are on this one here. This is where my eyes are. I want to see this dollar index tomorrow trade into this imbalance and then sell off all the way for the sell side liquidity and this inefficiency here. That's where my eyes has jumped right into this gap here. I want to see it being filled, taking this high which was formed today into this gap and then trading into the low of the order block here. So you see this up move here. When price traded below it, now this became a bearish order block. As you can see, this becomes a bearish order block there. And price traded just below it there and then it left this imbalance there. I want to see price run back into that and hit that wall and trade all the way down into the sell stops and then into this imbalance which is resting below here. That's what I'm looking to see price trade into. That's our focus. This sell side liquidity here, this gap here, and this gap here. Can price trade a little bit deeper? Yes, for sure. It can trade a little bit much deeper. As long as it's still below this imbalance, we are still bearish. Unless price decides to close above this inefficiency here, that's when we can start looking for buy side liquidity. But for now, we are seeking sell side liquidity because the overall market structure and order flow is pointing to the downside. So if you look into the 4-hour chart, let's take a look into the 4-hour chart. You can see that level there. So we have relative equal highs here. We have this relative equal highs at this 103.13 high here. As you can see there, at that 103.13 high, we want to see price take out the sell side buy side liquidity which is resting above there. If price can just be allowed to run into that buy side liquidity, I want to see the algorithm draw price into those buy stops there before it can go down. I want to see it run it into the buy stops and then tank it down from there. That's where my eyes sit. This buy side liquidity here. If this algorithm can allow price being drawn into these buy stops and then hit that specific level and then sell off. That's what I'm looking for and that's what I'm observing to see if it can be offered to us tomorrow. That's what I'm observing to see if price will offer us this opportunity to sell inside this gap here. There is another gap in here. You can see there's another gap in here, this low and this high here. We have a gap there. That high and that low. We have another gap there. So I'm observing how price will trade back into this shaded area here above this relative equal highs. And then I'll be looking for a nice sell. If price can just give me something like that. price can give us something like that into the sell side liquidity here, it would be so lovely. So that's what I'm observing on the DXY. And then we have the EU. On the EU, price took out the sell stops here. We have the sell stops. They got taken here on this rally down, and then we have this buy stops here. We have this buy side liquidity, and we have this sell side imbalance, buy side inefficiency, this CV to be filled. So price has traded down, took out the sell side liquidity here, and then it reacted nicely going up. It went up nicely, a steady 4-day rise, 1, 2, 3, 4, went up nicely, and then it broke above this high here. It broke structure there. It broke structure here on this candle. So tomorrow I'll be observing to see how price reacts. I want to see it trade down back into this huge bullish order block which is being formed here and the bullish breaker. So if price can just run all the way back, trade into that opening price of this bullish order block, it can still come back into this gap here, it can still visit it, or even this small gap here. So price can still decide to go a little bit deeper, or you can just use this here. So when time is aligning with price, that's when you can execute accordingly. But still, our main bias is still going for this buy side liquidity and filling this CV, sell side imbalance, buy side inefficiency. We are still looking for that. So tomorrow we're going to expect an open manipulation to the downside and then expansion all the way to the upside. Now we have the GU, we have the GBP USD, we have this sell stops taken here. As you can see, this sell stops got traded here. Price went up, broke structure above here, and as expected, I explained that we were expecting price to come down into this gap here and then buy from this gap, targeting this high here. And I said that if price has enough power and enough gas, it can still run for this buy side liquidity here. So we have that liquidity pool resting there, and price has traded nicely. It expanded for 3 days there. Today they formed relative equal highs and then price is trading down. Why is price coming all the way down? Why is price coming all the way down? What do you see here? We have a beautiful clear imbalance again. That's another imbalance there. That's another imbalance there. So I'll be watching to see how price will trade back inside this imbalance here. It can still whip below it because I want to see them take out Monday's low. If they can take out Monday's low and then continue buying to the upside, it will be a nice thing. So tomorrow I'm expecting open manipulation, taking out Monday's low, and then we expand all the way up again, running for the liquidity above that high, above these highs here, which are relatively equal, and eventually stretches legs into this buy side liquidity pool here. That's what I'm expecting. I want to see price trade into this imbalance. It can trade into it and then react immediately going up, but it can still come back inside it and it can still go all the way back down below it to take out the sell side liquidity here and then close back inside this inefficiency again and then continue buying up. I don't want to see it close outside of it. If it does close outside it or outside of this inefficiency, then it's gonna be something else. But for now, I'm still expecting it to continue going up. Let's see how this inefficiency treats price. And if there is anything that changes, I will alert you family in the group. If the bias changes or if anything happens that needs to be looked into, I will alert you in the group. But for now, those are my observations and those are my views for what's coming today at a later time and in the coming days. I'm still bullish on Chile. Now we have gold now. Gold has been doing its thing. This one pair has been doing its thing. It took out its buy stops here as we expected it to do. So now price has this buy side imbalance, sell side inefficiency, this PC. I want to see price just trade down into this here, into this area here, and then continue going up for this buy stops. That's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking, but as you know, the market will have to do its thing to prove us wrong because it's always right. So I have this gap here which I annotated. If price closes below it, it eventually closes below this candle's low, we are bearish. We'll be looking to see if price fill this inefficiency. But if price fails to close below this candle here, and if price decides to trade into it, we'll be able to look for a buy to continue going up. But for now, gold, I'm not going to touch it because it's doing its thing. I don't know what it's really trying to do in this position here, but we can just look at how price reacts inside this imbalance which we have annotated there. And we have Nasdaq. For Nasdaq, you can see price formed a high, a low, a high, and a lower low. And then price went up and broke structure above that high. What is that? That's a bullish breaker. What does price do? It trades back into it. Price took what? Sell side liquidity here. Where's buy side liquidity? Above this relative equal highs here. So I'm looking to see Nasdaq trade back into this here. I want to see it open, manipulate down, and then expand and trigger this buy side liquidity. And if it has enough gas, it can run into this imbalance here. So I want to see it open, manipulate, and then run for this buy stops above this high here, and eventually that imbalance. So I'm bullish on Nasdaq. Same thing with S&P. As you can see, the S&P here, price closed this sell side imbalance, buy side inefficiency, this CD, and now it's acting as support. I want to see it open, manipulate, trade into the high of the imbalance there, and trade back into the imbalance if it has more gas. And I want to see it expand. My main focus is this high here and the high of the CD here. I want to see price close this imbalance here to the full and if it closes above it, this buy stops will be my main focus. Will be my main focus, this buy stops, and then eventually this inefficiency here, this fair value gap which was left here. And then USDCHF, I don't know why I added it, but I want to see trade into this area here and then sell all the way into this bluish area here. And if they close below the bluish area, my target will be this low here. So that's what I'm observing, and that's what I'll be looking out for in this coming week, which we're already in. So let's see how price delivers today and tomorrow and on Friday. Thank you so much for taking your time to watch these videos. Let's show support, guys, to the channel. Let's subscribe to the channel, and let's grow together as a community, and let's help one another. Share this information with your friends and with your family. Thank you so much. I love you all. Have a great trading day.